Mhm. Hello, this is Kristin Anderson, and today we are talking to Angelica Morris. Hello, Miss Angelica, how are
I'm
you?
doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yay, I'm so happy you're here to talk to us. So, Angelica is a matchmaker, but also she's a psychic medium.
Yes.
So, let's talk about that first. When did you realize and how did you get in touch with your mediumship, your psychic ability?
Yeah, so it actually happened even before I was born, I believe, because my grandmother was actually a root worker, the first female ordained minister in the state of Florida, also
Oh.
psychic healer, and always had this spiritual business. And it's been passed down to my mother, passed down to me. So it really started before I was born. So for me, it was nothing to figure out. It was always
Mm.
just a gift that we probably, suspected I would have since it's passed down to women. And the most obvious scenario that showed me was when I was about 7 years old. I had a vision. It always happens in dreams and visions and premonitions that my father would get into a car accident.
Mm.
And I told him that day, and then his tire blew out, and it just everything happened. And luckily, he was okay at the time. But ever since then, I would say 7 years old, I became aware of this extra ability that I really think everyone has, is just being able to tap into it and be open to it and really trust your intuition and your gut feeling.
Mm. Okay, so let's just say if, like you said, everybody has this ability that they have to tap in, how would you maybe recommend to somebody that they tap into their intuition? How would you do that?
Every time you have a question saying, what should I do or what should I think, and you feel like you need to go to a third person, if you silence your mind, all the mental chatter, all the logic through meditation or just sitting in silence, if you don't know how to meditate, you usually have the answer, especially women, whenever, especially in regards to relationships. And we have to start Googling questions. Is it normal for a guy to do? It's not normal. You already know the answer. So anytime you feel the need to seek a third party, not for emotional support, but general advice, like you're looking for someone to give you a guidebook, you're usually trying to resist your own intuition.
Mm. Yeah, so you're saying like you already have all the answers. You don't need that third party. I love that.
Yes, and usually we go to a third party to validate what our gut is saying because sometimes we don't want to believe our gut.
Gosh, this is so true. I
Yes.
mean, how often do we get the answer when we're just like, no, I don't like that answer. Let me just ask somebody else.
Right.
Let me ask five more people. The
Exactly.
problem with that is that all those five people will probably all have a different answer. And so you're still
Right.
left with no answer,
Right.
but actually you know already know the answer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. So most of your intuition comes in dreams.
Yes. Very specific dreams. Sometimes like clear symbolism or literal, playing out. When I was living in Boston, I had a dream that someone would break into my apartment. It was a beautiful apartment in Beacon Hill. And it was like, known to be a nice neighborhood where it's like, oh, those things don't happen.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I had this really vivid dream of what the guy looked like and all this going on. And I was told you need to break your lease and move out. And it's like, I have like 6 months left on my lease. Like, how can I break my lease? It's so expensive, and find a new apartment in Boston, Beacon Hill, which has crazy prices. But I didn't. I broke my lease, and literally the night I was moving out, like I just worked like straight because I was like, I need to get out right now. A guy was trying to break in. He was my neighbor who was like having this like obsession, like, psychiatric break. And he was like trying to shove his way into my apartment, and
Ooh.
everything played out. And luckily, I was literally almost done packing. And that night, at like 4 a.m. I moved into first I went to a hotel, and then I moved into my new apartment, which was just a few minutes away. But I already knew to break my lease and do all those things. And the police came, they didn't do anything because technically he didn't hurt me. And it was kind of like, well, so I just have to live next to someone that tried to break in. And it's like, yeah, pretty much. And I'm glad I was able to just leave. And because that happened, I didn't have to pay anything extra to break my lease. I already had broken it. And at first he was like, oh, you owe me this and that. And then he was like, honestly, that was bad. You can just go. And he was happy you just didn't get sued. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool that you ended up not having to pay the extra money, because I know when you break your lease, you're kind of still obligated, right?
Yeah,
To pay all that.
exactly.
Oh, that's
And I
good.
broke it anyways before I knew how it would get paid or what happened because I was just told I need to leave.
Okay, so that came to you in a vision or a dream
Yeah.
that you need to leave because somebody's going to come in, and you just listened to it.
Yes.
And it was that night that somebody,
3 days later. Yes.
that's crazy.
It's so specific. Yeah.
Oh, wow. 3 days after you had the dream?
Yes.
Oh, so you moved quickly.
I moved fast. When I moved fast, like I would stay up all night, pack up all my things. It was just a 1 bedroom studio, probably as big as this. It was
Okay.
super small. And I moved really fast. But that's how I do everything in life. Like when spirit speaks, I listen and I just don't ask questions because I know it always is right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I want stronger answers. Sometimes I definitely am one of those people who's like, what should I be doing right now? And I'm like waiting for the answer. But I feel like for me, I get bogged in my own mind because I have so many ideas and they're all good.
Mm-hmm.
So I get like confused. Which good idea should I pursue? So I get kind of stuck in there sometimes, and I have to sit down and just be quiet, because I can be like doggy paddle in the ocean, like
Right.
just keeping my head above water, like going all over the place and not getting anything done.
Yes.
Yeah, sit in silence and wait for the answer.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. And then move quickly.
Yes, I moved like lightning fast because
You
oddly
know.
enough, it was my second time someone trying to break into the house. It was a different house, like in my childhood. So I already had that deep-seated fear. But so I'm like, okay, I need to go because it's my life. Who cares how much money the guy wants? I'll just pay him because I would rather that happen than it cost me my life. But everything resolved itself, which is, not the crazy part because it's like, duh, of course everything has to resolve itself. But it's just always amazing to see. I'm still in awe every time.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Even the little things, right,
Right.
are awe-inspiring.
Yes.
Especially when you listen to that intuition and you act on it and it just works itself out like that. That's so cool.
Right.
Like you didn't know and you did it anyway.
Yes.
You don't ask questions.
Yes.
Just listen to the movement, right?
Right.
Yeah. What does it feel like in your body when you get a message like that?
Oh, that's a great question. It kind of feels like the sensation of if someone tried to ask you, when did you know your name was your name? Like you're not really able to pick out a specific moment. It just feels like I always knew that. Like you've always been you. You can't remember someone teaching your name directly. So that's how it feels, where it doesn't feel like new information. It just feels like I read a book and I knew all this, and then I meet someone and I see it being played out, but I can't really pinpoint, oh, in this moment, or like my stomach hurts or anything like that. So just this inner knowing.
And knowing. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I feel that way too when it happens for me. It's very powerful.
Right.
Then it's something I just know. Like when I moved from Los Angeles to Florida, it happened so quickly. It was like one day I woke up and I just said, I'm going to Florida. And I just knew that that's where I was going. And my parents had been trying to get me to Florida for years. And I was like, no, Florida's it's not my place.
Yeah.
But then it just, I packed up and I was gone within a month. I made the choice, packed up everything, found a place, moved all within 1 month.
Wow.
Which is pretty fast to move across the country.
Yeah, I did something similar, even crazier. So, let's see, probably 18 months after being in Boston, my rent was going to go up. And I was like, I was working at Harvard at the time, feeling very, disillusioned that this is supposed to be the dream life and it's so boring. Everyone's so miserable. I don't like it. You're not actually helping anyone. You're just like trading ideas with other people.
Mm.
Um, and I was like, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to get rid of all my things and travel the world. And I decided on a Tuesday, by Saturday, I got rid of 95% of my things, loaded up my Jeep, got rid of my Jeep by the next Wednesday, and was off to see the world with 3 backpacks. And all within like literally 8 days. And it was so much fun, so liberating. And I traveled the world for like a year and a half solo and one-way ticket myself with no plan. And my whole thing was, um, I want to find my soulmate, and I'm just like so open and so free right now. I don't have a lot of responsibilities. So, if my soulmate is in Italy, I'll just stay in Italy. If my soulmate's in Turkey, I'll just stay in Turkey. Like, it doesn't matter. I can live anywhere. And then all that, I came back to my hometown and met him the first day back to Florida. So after being gone for 6 years away from home, I came back
and you found him immediately.
Yes.
Oh my
It's just so funny how life works.
I always hear like this just comes into my mind so often, bloom where you're planted.
Yes.
Have you heard that saying? I don't even know where that came from. Does anybody know where that saying came from? Bloom where you're planted. But yeah, it's like interesting when you go back, there's something there for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh. So you traveled the world. Did you go to Harvard?
As an employee, not as a student. Well, actually, I started a master's degree, but dropped out. So my dad unfortunately passed away like in the middle, and I was just really struggling mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and working at the same time. And I was like, I can't. He passed away at 58. That's pretty young. And he achieved so much success, material success, all these things. And all of that stuff, I'm grateful I've lived such a great life, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you don't have your health, your peace, your family. And I'm like, I don't want to be on this hamster wheel of like American success and achievement. And I just like the American dream can die. And that's like a privileged thing to say, being born here, I can say that, but he was born very poor in Jamaica and came over. So it was worth it. But then I'm like, I want to be free. I just want freedom. And so I got rid of everything and just quit everything. And I'm still, creating my own path, which is a lot harder than just follow the structure, but it's still worth it because I'm so happy. Like, no matter what, I can feel completely free, no matter how much money I have, any situation. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that freedom is essential. I feel like it's so essential. Like, can you live with a lot? Can you live with a little? Can you live with nothing?
Yeah.
And you've proven to yourself that you can do that.
Yes.
And that is powerful because if you're sort of addicted or used to like the cushiness,
right,
you don't have that resilience to withstand hard times when they come, because they always do.
Exactly.
So can you scoot through it and still maintain that inner peace, right?
Yeah. And not letting materials define you, like any job, status, items,
stuff.
Because getting rid of it felt so freeing. Like everything I needed was in 3 bags, and I still got rid of more as I traveled. It was still too much. That's the crazy thing. We feel like we need so much. And I'm like a very, fashionista person. I wasn't even that minimalist. I brought every outfit I liked, and it still felt like too much.
Right.
Actually traveling.
Yeah, because then you got to carry those 3 bags around with you, right? And what do you really need?
Exactly.
Not much.
Not much.
It's amazing how little we really need.
Right.
That's interesting. So what do you think about, we're going off on a total tangent here. What do you think about like tiny house living?
Tiny house living.
Have you looked into that at all and seen?
Let's see.
That's like very minimalist, like little tiny homes.
Yes. Okay. I'm like trying to remember, what is that? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a little tiny, it looks like a cute little, like a gnome house or something. Some of them, they can be very modern, or like container homes where you just have the minimal thing that you need. And usually they're set on like a larger piece of land.
Right.
So you're not digging up the whole land to put a big
Big house.
monstrosity of a house. You
It's
put,
like living within nature.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I really like it like as a single person by myself, but I want to have kids and stuff in space.
Yeah.
So probably I still do like I'm not an off-grid type of person or a homesteader because I don't like bugs. I'm like a little bit scared. I like being around people like in society, but I
Me
think
too.
like I unplugged mentally from the matrix, but I still love every like once you unplug from the matrix, then it's a playground. It's like, oh my gosh, all these fun things, and you don't let it define you, and everything's a game. And that's how I like to live. I don't like to be secluded.
Yeah, I was just reading my human design this morning and it said like my ideal place is in the marketplace, which is more like, and their definition of the marketplace was more like a city or a mall or where there's people around doing your work in a coffee shop,
Right.
but certainly not like in the woods alone, which
Yeah,
which is
me
interesting
too.
because I've always lived in cities. So I
Mm,
lived in New York City and then Los Angeles and now here in St. Pete, which is the smallest of all the cities.
I love this
It's
city.
tiny,
It's
but it
like
has a good vibe.
yes, it does.
Don't come here though.
Yeah,
We're
we have
rejected.
enough people. It's actually terrible. Don't come.
It's terrible. Don't come. Go to New York. That's funny. Okay, so how do you use your psychic abilities with your job that you've created for yourself,
Yes.
which is matchmaking, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that because that's so fascinating. I know everybody wants to find their person.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to find their ideal relationship because we as humans, like the relationship is how we learn and grow. So most people, I think, want that. Maybe there might be a 1% that doesn't care about that, but
Right.
most people want that.
So,
How does that work?
So I've always been, a really intuitive person where it's like I can see someone's energy through a picture, through talking with them, and it's almost like a tangible experience. Like, that's the best way to describe it. Almost like a smell or like watercolors or something like that. It's not quite like that, but it's like where I can see who you are energetically, like beside your resume. And then, of course, there's 24 evidence-based measures of compatibility. When someone signs up, I work with other matchmakers. There's so many portals I can use that have databases that have people that are looking to find someone. And I look, okay, do they match on the things that matter for human lives? Money mindset, views on children, smoking habits, et cetera. And then I look energetically, like, can I see their auras coexist together? Does the divine feminine match with the divine masculine? What kind of a relationship style do they, want to play out? Like a more traditional structure, a more egalitarian, like what's the energy dynamic between these two people? And everyone has, which I think is beautiful, a different definition of what makes a good romantic relationship. So I don't judge people on like everyone has to have this energy dynamic. It's more of my like motto is finding someone that complements instead of competes with your brilliance, where everyone has someone and it's just about aligning those two energies. And matchmaking is, the second oldest profession, as people like to say, where since the beginning of time, especially in Jewish and Indian communities, there's always been typically women, almost exclusively only women, matching people with divine intuition. And it's a sacred art that now people think it's cool that people think like, oh, I invented it, or it's like a new thing, but it's very, very old, very sacred. And I'm just reviving it for the modern world because everyone is so tired of dating apps and people are seeking more than, successful on paper. They want a soul to soul connection. I think that energetic and spiritual component really is so meaningful for people.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you bring that aspect to it because it is more than just what's on paper.
Right.
Yeah, that's priceless, really,
Yes.
because you can waste a lot of time in a wrong relationship
Yeah, I agree.
and it can be devastating to
Really.
people. Truly. I mean, can you imagine? But imagine finding that person that you really just blend well with,
Yes.
complement each other. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Wow. So how does somebody go about working with you for that?
So they apply. I have on my website just as apply, and I look for people that I call it like holistic success, spiritually, mentally, physically, mind, body, spirit. They just embody their genius. And it's not about, unlike Millionaire Matchmaker, other brands, you have to make this amount of money or you're not in. It's really like, what lifestyle do you want? Are you in alignment with that? Can you really speak to your vision? Do you know who you are? If I check your social media and do a background check, are you a person that leads with integrity? What do other people have to say about you? You know, sometimes I meet clients that they come through a recommendation, things like that. So it's a really holistic process of looking for people that, most importantly, you know who you are, and you're able to really explain your vision, explain your legacy, because once you have that clarity, it's easy to manifest someone into your sphere. But if you're like, I don't know what I want, I just want someone, it's like, I can't help you because you don't even know who you are yet. So I can't know who you are.
Right.
So applying is the first step. And I don't advertise this on my website, but there are free and paid memberships, which a lot of people, you know, don't know about. So even if you're like, it's not in my budget to invest in matchmaking right now, you never know, you can be a match for someone that has already have an active paid membership. So I encourage everyone to, don't worry about the how, just apply and see if, you know, you're a good match for someone.
That's cool. Don't worry about the how.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Just
called
like when
infinite
you
possibility.
moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, infinite possibility. It'll work itself out. Just
Yes.
apply.
Yes.
That's smart. I like that.
Yes.
That's very cool. I didn't know that you had like paid and unpaid.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because everyone's like looking for something, you know, different,
Mhm.
where, you know, money may not be a requirement they need in a relationship.
Right.
They're not looking for everyone needs to make the same amount. Everyone has to be like hustle bustle.
Right.
It's really, energy is the most important thing. But I call it elite matchmaking because it's definitely, you know, people that exist on a higher level of consciousness. Their spirit, not necessarily material possessions, make them elite. But sometimes people get like, you know, scared by that, like, oh, I'm not that type of person. But I like attracting confident people too. So it's really good to, regardless of what you've accomplished, etc., etc., I always say apply and find out
And see.
Yeah.
Get out there and apply, people.
Yes.
That's very cool. Awesome. So how did you end up in matchmaking? Like, what were you doing before? And how did you end up doing this? What was the journey there?
Yeah, so at first I was working at Harvard in the well-being lab, and it was like a social science lab. By training, I'm an anthropologist, so I was always
What is
fascinated.
anthropology? Tell me that again.
The culture, the science and art and culture of human relationships, essentially.
Okay.
So studying different societies and what makes us human besides biology, essentially, is the question of anthropology.
Okay.
And it's all about relating to people. And that always fascinated me. And after, you know, my travel around the world Harvard thing, I was doing femininity coaching, like feminine energy, you know, womb healing type of work, and spiritual retreats. And in that process, the women in my program like kept getting engaged, kept, you know, finding partners, and it was like kept happening over and over again. And then casually I would, you know, pair people together. And I was like, I actually really like the pairing people together more than the healing part, in the sense that I felt like taking on a lot of emotional wounds and a lot of emotional stories. I'm so blessed that I had that like sacred purpose, but it weighed on me to not have much positivity in my life in terms of work. So I'm like, I want to focus on the positive parts, where after healing or during healing, when people just feel like in a good state of mind to start dating, they come to me. And yeah, it just happened really organically, where I would also, like, you know, see people's auras, give them my readings, so it turned out to be true. With I used to only charge like $10 to get an energy reading, and it just kept happening to be true. And everyone's like, I love this. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing. I found the word for it, matchmaking. And then, you know, the whole professional side of it, of getting involved in database, other matchmakers, certifications, I found all that later. But the intuitive part, I've always been doing it more or less.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, because anthropology actually led you right into that.
Yes. I,
That's amazing.
I
You
had
just
no
have been
idea.
divinely guided, it seems like your
Yeah.
whole life.
In college, I had no idea what like any of this was. I was gonna be a doctor, an OBGYN, because I like
Okay.
working with women
Right.
and helping and healing. And I'm so glad that the universe like gave me new language and new paradigms of thought that I'm able to live like a very positive, high vibe lifestyle and still help people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because there's so many people that focus on the trauma,
Yeah.
and it is essential. We don't want to do the spiritual bypassing, right?
Right.
But you have to do that. But then you do need to like reach up,
Yes.
don't wallow down in there.
Because you could make healing and trauma your identity, and then you
Yeah.
like never get out.
Yeah, you never get out. I saw that a lot. I went to Al-Anon,
What
which
is that?
is it's for family members or people who love somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict.
Okay.
So there's that particular relationship has a dynamic where one person can be the alcoholic or the drug addict and the other one is like trying to save them. Right? I was that one who was trying to save other people.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I can help you. I can help you. I can help you. So Al-Anon teaches you like, it's not your job to help them.
Right.
That's not your responsibility. And they don't actually want it. And what you're doing is enabling by trying to help.
Right.
So now I forgot where I was going with this, but I know. I was there and I went for a long period of time, almost every day. I went to a meeting every day for 3 or 4 months,
Wow.
which is a lot.
Yeah.
I was needing that. But I noticed that some of the people who were there for sometimes 50 years.
50 years.
They kept going to the meeting. They were still in that relationship. And I just thought to myself, gosh, I don't want to learn how to live with it.
Right.
I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to learn how to live in a miserable situation that I can't control and that's breaking me down. And that's what I was seeing at these meetings. Like, and I'm not dissing the meeting at all. It was a keystone to my healing was going there. So if you are in that situation, please go to Al-Anon. It was absolutely epic, amazing, life-changing. But I would say get all the tools and use them and pull yourself out and move on to creating a positive, beautiful life.
That's what I love about, matchmaking, because it's like everyone has a story, and you learn. And then now they're like, okay, show me infinite possibility. That's what I call it. And I'm just like, I'm a fan of all ways to meet people, whether it's through apps, spontaneously, singles events, whatever it is, matchmakers. I believe everything's an equal channel, and you get to pick the channel that fits with your lifestyle. So people that work with me tend to be very busy and don't have time to scroll through apps or go to events. So that's what I love. I get to be the channel that best resonates with them. But they're really all equal. Like people always ask, what's the best way to meet someone? Really, infinite possibility everywhere. Or just pick the channel that aligns with you.
I love that too. Yeah, because I know I had started to dabble in the dating world a little bit. And I was like, I don't know. Every time I open an app, I'm like, this doesn't feel like it's in alignment.
Right.
So I would open it up, I'd do like 2, 3 swipes and be like, you know what? No, I don't feel like this is for me. I feel like meeting somebody should be more organic for me.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be like that infinite possibility, like
Yeah.
align with the channel that works for you.
Yeah.
Right. Although maybe I should apply. Maybe I'll apply. Why not?
I'm starting a new thing that is like, it seems like it would align with you. So it's called Soul Society. And it's basically, singles event, social club without the pressure of finding the one. So it's like, come for the friendship, come for the spark of romance, come for networking, whatever it is. But for the sophisticated and curious who like those elegant type of events to just learn something, meet new people, and like infinite possibility. That's the thing it says on there. just come and show up. And our motto is don't overthink it, just show up. So you
That
never
sounds
know who's gonna be there.
amazing.
Yeah.
What's it called again? Soul Society?
Soul Society.
Soul Society.
A mixture of both.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. When are you launching that? Is it already launched?
It's not launched yet.
Okay.
So on my website, I have a like be the first to know. I'm figuring out the date, but it'll just birth one day.
Oh, that's so fun. I
Yeah.
would totally love to do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun. There was a dating app that was sort of soul aligned, but it was new and there weren't a lot of people on there. But I did meet a couple people on there.
Oh,
I
never
can't
heard of
remember the
it.
name of it. It was definitely just a regular, you download it on your phone
Okay.
dating app.
Cool.
But I can't remember the name of it. That was years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
very
awesome.
fun. I love the idea of having a party.
Yeah, and
It's like
it's
an
like
event. just
yeah,
a
different
party.
types of things where because I used to go to a lot of single events when I was dating, and they're all really awkward, like extremely awkward. Like one was you had a checklist. They gave everyone a checklist, and while you're talking to someone, you're like writing notes and rating them.
No.
And then like whoever gets above a certain number, it means you want to talk to them later. But it was just so objectifying
Mm.
and awful. Where I'm like, I believe that you have to position yourself with the type of person you want to meet, but also infinite possibility. Like I have friends from all over doing all sorts of things, some that I met from dating apps. I just became friends, and just it doesn't matter to me. I just want the human connection.
Right.
So that's what Soul Society focuses on, like soul enriching type of events where it's fun, it's intellectual, it's elegant, and then you just see who's there and let the universe, the person show who they're supposed to be in your life, and just let it go.
Let it happen.
And I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, that's
without the pressure. I'm meeting the one.
yeah. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And
I stopped going to singles events because of that.
It can really derail you.
Right.
Because you're focused so hard on that.
Mhm.
And maybe you're like, oh, that's the one. I know it.
Yeah.
And maybe you're just forcing it.
Yeah.
And then you're just attaching and controlling, right? And that's a bad path.
Right.
That's a dark path you don't want to go down.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, society, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Awesome. Well, do you have anything else that you want to tell everybody out there?
Let's see.
Any final words?
I would say my final word is no matter your story, choose to identify with the lesson rather than the trauma. It's not bypassing your trauma, but you are more than a ball of trauma. You're also wisdom, ancestral wisdom, and guidance. So always go back to the lessons you've learned and decide that you get to live in infinite possibility, not despite your trauma, but because of it. It teaches you so much. So cheers, living to infinite possibility.
Infinite possibility. I love that. Infinite possibility. We're going to name this episode that.
I like it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
That's so awesome. I love to hear your story. It's so beautiful. All right. So you can find Angelica, and all her links will be in the show notes.
Thank you.
So apply.
Yes, apply.
Because it's infinitely possible.
Yes, exactly.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.